Picture this, it's a freezing winter morning at a forward operating base in Estonia. Right on NATO's eastern flank, a massive military convoy pulls in for a rapid refueling operation. To the untrained eye, this looks like a textbook display of international cooperation. 3 different armies, 3 different languages, 3 different flags. Officially, if you ask the British Ministry of Defence, they'll tell you these men are operating the Logistic Support Vehicle. Ask the German commanders, and they call it the UTF. The Norwegians? They log it in their inventory simply as the HX, but look closer and the illusion of national sovereignty vanishes. The exact same diesel flows into the exact same fuel tanks. The exact same wheel nuts bolt onto the exact same wheel hubs. They are all driving, fixing, and relying on the exact same truck. 6 powerhouse military nations, the UK, Germany, Australia, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, all bet the house on this single machine. And here is the twist. Great Britain, an island that literally watched its own domestic truck manufacturing industry collapse into total bankruptcy, bought it first. They bought it biggest. And in doing so, they inadvertently engineered the logistics backbone of modern NATO. To understand how a German-designed truck built in an Austrian factory ended up with a Union Jack on the door, we have to look back at one of the most brutal industrial collapses in modern history. By the dawn of the 21st century, the British military truck industry wasn't just struggling, it was entirely dead. For decades, firms like Bedford Vehicles were the undisputed kings of British military transport. Their iconic MK series trucks carried the British Army through the Cold War. But by 1986, the parent company, Vauxhall, looked at the low-volume, low-margin world of military contracts and walked away, shutting down heavy truck production entirely. A company called AWD tried to salvage the remnants, but they collapsed into receivership within 5 years. Leyland, the pride of British engineering, merged with the Dutch firm DAF, only for the combined conglomerate to implode in 1993. The absolute final blow fell on ERF, the last independent British heavy truck builder. They were swallowed up by the German Titan MAN in the year 2000. Their historic Middlewich factory was shuttered shortly after, and the iconic ERF brand was officially buried. So, by the time the British Ministry of Defence looked in the mirror and realised it desperately needed a new generation of support vehicles, there was literally no domestic manufacturer left standing. And the timing could not have been worse. The British Army was rolling into complex, hostile theatres like the Balkans and Afghanistan using an elderly existing fleet of Cold War relics. The older 4-ton trucks were underpowered, unarmoured, and mechanically spent. The hard truth of modern warfare was staring Western generals right in the face. If your logistics tail fails, your frontline armour is just expensive target practice. The Gulf War had already taught the world a terrifying lesson. Modern armoured brigades consume fuel, ammunition, water, and rations at an unprecedented rate. You cannot fight a high-intensity conflict if your supply trucks get stuck in the mud or ripped apart by a single roadside ambush. The British government realised they had a massive, catastrophic capability gap. They needed thousands of new trucks across 4-wheel drive, 6-wheel drive, and massive 8-wheel drive configurations. They needed payloads ranging from 6 tons all the way up to 15 tons. And because they couldn't build it themselves, they opened the doors to the ultimate international cage match. If you like what you're watching and want more videos like this, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe. Won't cost you anything. Thank you, mate. In early 2002, the UK issued an invitation to tender the prize, a staggering $1.8 billion contract to deliver over 8,800 military vehicles. 6 global heavyweights entered the arena. You had the American giants Oshkosh and Stewart and Stevenson bringing heavy-duty, battle-hardened designs. Volvo came down from Sweden. Mercedes-Benz and MAN represented the pinnacle of German engineering. Even Leyland trucks, by then owned by the American conglomerate PACCAR, threw its hat in the ring as the closest thing to a hometown hero. For months, these multi-ton beasts were absolutely thrashed around the legendary Millbrook proving grounds. They were pushed up impossible inclines, slammed through deep mud pits, and run at sustained high speeds until components melted. By October 2004, the defense ministers made their choice. The winner of the largest British logistics contract in generations wasn't an American powerhouse or a British legacy brand. It was Manor-Fuck Limited. They signed a definitive deal for an initial batch of 5,300 advanced vehicles, over 1,100 modular armour kits, and crucially, a 20-year total life support package. The British fleet was officially locked into German-engineered DNA well into the 2030s. So, why did MAN? How did they beat out the legendary American defense contractors? It boiled down to 3 critical factors: maturity, cost, and capacity. First, let's talk about maturity. The MAN H family, an unproven experimental prototype. It was smartly derived from MAN's highly successful commercial TGA truck range. It combined commercial off-the-shelf reliability with ruggedized military-grade components. Second, the financial sweet spot. While the American Oshkosh trucks were legendary, they were heavily over-engineered, incredibly heavy, and prohibitively expensive to run at scale. The MAN HX hit the perfect payload per pound sweet spot. Third was sheer industrial capacity. MAN's sprawling facility in Vienna, Austria, the historic Steyr plant, could churn out thousands of these trucks on an aggressive timeline without needing completely new tooling or factory lines. And look at the sheer modularity of what the British bought. The family spans from the agile 4x4 HX60, a 6-ton light cargo truck that became the workhorse of the fleet, all the way up to the massive 8x8 HX77, a 15-ton heavy lifter. They built unit support tankers carrying over 7,000 liters of fuel, specialized recovery vehicles utilizing high-power Rotzler winches, and advanced palletized load systems that can rip a 20-foot ISO container or ammo pallet off the ground in seconds. Under the hood sits a monstrous 12 4-liter common rail, straight 6, and up to 520 horsepower through a smart ZF's 12-speed automated gearbox. It features permanent all-wheel drive, central tire inflation systems, and run-flat tires. It can wade through 1.5 meters of water and operate seamlessly in blistering heat or Arctic temperatures down to minus 46 degrees Celsius. The brilliant part. The raw chassis was built in Austria, the high-performance drivetrain came from Germany, but the final tactical assembly, the bolt-on modular armor, the Bowman combat radios, and the specialized radar systems, was carried out right in Doncaster, England. The truck was European by birth but British by execution. But this isn't just a story about a British buying spree. This is where a simple procurement decision morphed into an accidental grand strategy. Because Great Britain bought so many of these trucks so early, they absorbed the massive initial setup costs. They effectively standardized the platform for the rest of the Western world. When the German Bundeswehr realized they needed to completely overhaul their own logistics tail, they didn't reinvent the wheel. They went all in on the HX platform, signing jaw-dropping multi-billion euro framework agreements for over 7,000 trucks. Australia followed suit, ordering nearly 3,600 trucks to replace their entire fleet. Sweden bought them to carry their advanced Patriot air defense and Archer artillery systems. Norway and Denmark signed massive fresh frameworks to secure their supply lines through the late 2020s and beyond. By the manufacturer's own count, there are now well over 20,000 HX trucks operational worldwide. To understand how vital this standardization is, you only have to look across the fence at the brutal reality of Russian logistics. The standard Russian KAMAZ and Ural trucks lack integrated lack modular armor preparation, and completely lack the deep interconnected spare parts ecosystem of the HX family. According to Open's intelligence trackers like Oryx, Russia has lost thousands of logistics vehicles to simple mechanical failures, poor mud mobility, and lack of crew protection. Meanwhile, hundreds of donated Western HX trucks are still charging through Ukrainian mud, entirely surviving because their components are interchangeable with almost any Allied supply depot nearby. True military standardization didn't happen because diplomats signed a piece of paper in Brussels. It happened because the British Ministry of Defense made a massive high-stakes gamble in 2005. They picked the right platform, bought it at a scale that couldn't be ignored, and created a default standard for 5 more global armies to follow. The next time you see a massive NATO convoy rolling across the plains of Europe, take a close look at the truck leading the charge. It's a German design riding on an Austrian chassis, built with British tactical gear and keeping half the free world moving. What do you think? Did Britain make the ultimate strategic call by giving up on domestic truck building to focus on buying at scale? Or should they have protected their own factories at all costs? Let me know in the comments below. Wherever you are watching from in the world, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe so you never miss another deep dive, and drop your location in the comments. We love seeing how global our audience is. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.